planets no human could get to any other way. Visions of the future. During the next 50 years, the kinds of technology we've been talking about for the last 10 minutes are going to make their way into every facet of our lives. Computers, microchips, robots, we, our children, our grandchildren are going to find our lives dominated by them.
Futurists tell us some of the biggest changes will come into place as close to home as your doctor's office. What about medicine, healthcare across the next 50 years? Think about a world free of 500 different diseases that now afflict us. That's next, when the electronic time machine continues.
What's fair is fair. And frankly, Price Pfister is the fairest faucet of them all. Starting with the fabulous finishes they offer outside, right down to the feat of engineering that's inside. The quality is formidable, thanks to a heart of solid brass. And another fine feature is how affordable it is. So find yourself a Price Pfister, the fabulous faucet with a funny name.
Excuse me, this Raisin Bran's Kelloggs.
So?
Well, it's got 2 scoops.
So?
Well, I don't deserve something this special.
Why not?
Well, I haven't done anything good enough to deserve the 2 scoops of Kellogg's. So just give me the ordinary stuff.
You must have done something good.
Nope.
Nothing?
Oh, I once freed a bee stuck to my windshield wiper.
Well, there you go. You deserve the 2-scoop Raisin Bran.
Raisin Bran from Kellogg's. Everyone deserves 2 scoops.
April in Paris.
He said he'd give me Paris wrapped up in ribbons. But he was young and poor. So we settled for a small cafe and coffee. Coffee so rich, I thought I'd never taste its like again.
Discover the pleasure of a rich French roast, new from Maxwell House. Rich French roast coffee. We can't give you France, but we'll give you the flavor.
A duel is set for Pimlico. Kentucky Derby champion Sunday Silence is out to grab the second jewel in the Chrysler Triple Crown Challenge. But second-place finisher Easy Goer is out to avenge his only loss as a 3-year-old. They meet for the Preakness Stakes live on ABC's Wide World of Sports, Saturday.
The experts at the 1939 World's Fair were optimistic about the future of medicine, and they were right. We have made remarkable advances in health care over the past 50 years. On average, Americans now live 11 years longer than they did then.
Futurists are just as optimistic today. They tell us we are standing on the edge of breakthroughs that could help us live longer and more productive lives than any time in history.
Correspondent Morton Dean has that story. But he doesn't begin in the future or the present. He begins where we started tonight, in 1939, with one of that year's blockbuster movies, which in its own way posed some medical questions that may one day be easy to solve. But they were a wizard's work back then.
In The Wizard of Oz, the Scarecrow, the Tin Man, and the Cowardly Lion each had a wish.
Sure to get a brain, a heart,
A home.
the name. Oh, we're up to see the wizard.
A brain, a heart, and courage were easy to find when you followed the yellow brick road to Emerald City. But at the time of the New York World's Fair, the brain was largely a mystery, and stress would have been a big problem for the Cowardly Lion. One thing you could see was an artificial heart. Colonel Charles Lindbergh and Dr. Alexis Carrel's heart device became a main attraction at the fair. In the last 50 years, the heart has been at the center of many miracles and wonders in medicine, including a mechanical heart that really works. History was made in 1982 when Barney Clark received the first artificial heart. The man who designed that heart, a young doctor named Robert Jarvik, sees a future in which mechanical hearts would be very usual.
I think there'll be hundreds of thousands of people living with artificial hearts 50 years from now. And we talk about these more exotic things. But the artificial heart, as an example, is a very simple organ. It's a mechanical pump. An example here is one layout of a Jarvik 2000 heart. Inside this wireframe that represents the natural shape of the natural heart
Only 10 years ago, Jarvik would have had to build a laboratory and complicated models just to accomplish the work now being done on one computer. The Jarvik 2000 heart will be implanted inside a real heart and designed to extend the patient's life for decades.
The key thing with the Jarvik 2000 heart compared to the developments with the Jarvik 7 heart, the key difference is that this is a miniature rotary blood pump. Biology didn't have the ability to make rotary devices, or we might have had birds with jet engines. Now we'll have something with humans that is more advanced than could be produced biologically. It's not impossible in 50 years that a pump like this could permit a patient to run marathons, maybe even win.
With or without artificial motors, the human body has been improved by leaps and bounds, added strength, endurance, and speed. And science will continue to improve on nature, developing other bionic body parts from kidneys and lungs to skin and bones. The tiny cochlea ear is already being used to enable deaf people to hear. Many blind people will be able to see thanks to a microchip attached to the optic nerve. And artificial limbs will be able to move on command from the brain. In his medical thriller, Coma, author Dr. Robin Cook looked at the darker side of medicine. But he sees a brighter reality for the future.
More people will have a longer, better life. Not that it will be that much longer than the longest person who even lives today, but the quality of life will be a lot better. It will affect things like the chronic illnesses like arthritis.
By 2039, the number of people over the age of 65 will increase by 35%, and it will not be necessary to travel to another planet to feel like a kid at 80, such as these senior citizens in Cocoon.
Some symptoms like pain will be much, much more amenable to treatment, because that is one of the, a major problem in medicine is handling intractable pain, for instance. And that will be something that I believe will be able to be controlled.
Doctors will also be able to rely on swift, one-stop diagnostic machines without radiation. Micro-robots, a fraction of the size of a dime, will clean the bloodstream and destroy viruses. Robots will also be programmed to perform surgery with precision and accuracy. Lasers will replace the scalpel for most surgical procedures. And through the magic of 3D video, doctors all over the world will be able to sit in on and learn about the most delicate microscopic surgery. But there will be one thing that will have the greatest impact on medical science: prevention.
Prevention will be the key situation with the new tools that are coming out of this kind of biotechnology revolution that we're undergoing.
This revolution is already taking form at research laboratories and hospitals looking into the future for alternative healthcare techniques, such as vitamin therapy for cancer. The effects of environment, nutrition, and lifestyle on our bodies are being explored. But the most exciting hope for the future lies in a phenomenon called the double helix. The double helix. Over the next 50 years, the road to discovering the cause and cure of an infinite variety of diseases and human defects will lie within this structure. It looks something like a tinker toy. It's a model of the basic element of all human life, DNA. The National Institutes of Health have begun the biggest single medical research project in history to unlock and explore the mysteries of DNA. Heading the massive effort is Nobel Prize winner Dr. James Watson.
Our DNA world is a gold rush, and there's an awful lot of gold to be found. You know, if you could cut the incidence of cancer by half, you'd say